Thank you very much, Sam, and thanks to all colleagues and the organizer of today's very important side event. I can't do anything but to agree with the speakers before me. And I think so the issues in front of us, both here in Geneva, but also seriously in Afghanistan, were put forward by the experts and by all the speakers before me, and I'm not going to repeat those aspects. I just wanted to be very brief and to mention, that when we start calling for a special session, even before this, as Mr. Shahzad Akbar mentioned, we were looking into a fact-finding mission well in April and May, but then we called the special session, and the request for the special session particularly was to enact that fact-finding mission immediately before even the council, this session, before this session started. But we all know what happened, and our efforts just to get the special session was a marathon. I thank really everyone here in this panel, but also the member states who really helped us to put together something. I understand that many of us have been very disappointed, but given the situation, I think the resolution that we came with at that moment was a base on which we can now build and further build, and to create what we all desire is a very strong fact-finding mission in Afghanistan. There are many reasons which have been mentioned there, but politically, because I'm looking into it from a member state perspective here, and also we are negotiating with a number of countries, including with the OIC, where we had a briefing just last week. And I mentioned and I emphasized that the early optimism which existed, not everywhere, very cautious optimism, but among a number of states and actors, have faded in the past month and a half. I think where there is no more perhaps excuses for wait and see, as it was categorically mentioned in our today's interventions. Because so far, what we have seen from Taliban in the month and a half, but also since the agreement that they signed with the United States, is that they have not fulfilled any of the promises they made within that agreement, but also the resolution which endorsed that agreement. And if I can remind our colleagues here and everyone who is listening, reduction of violence, delinking from the terrorist organization, from Al-Qaeda and the others, and then not taken over by force, not attacking major centers, not monopolizing power, not returning their draconian emirate, and respect for human rights and for women's rights. So these are, I think, the basic elements which we all heard time and again from the Doha offices. And what we see today on the ground is certainly contrary to all of this. So, and even in the past 1 month and a half, we have seen is, as colleagues mentioned, Taliban 2.0 is even more ruthless and careless about the international norms and orders than Taliban 1.0. So I think that this is time. I think it's time that we have to raise our voice on behalf of the 36 million Afghan people who have been, under the barrels of the guns, and they have somehow been taken hostage. So what we do, what's our efforts? We engage with the OIC, we engage with like-minded countries, we engage with every possible actor here to tell them that what the reality is on the ground, what is happening, and why and a strong monitoring and documentation and fact-finding mechanism will be important. As other speakers mentioned, it's actually will help not only the Afghan people, but also maybe even some moderate, in the heart of their heart, some moderate Taliban are looking forward to some sort of mechanism, because they have been sort of, disempowered by what's happening on the ground. So my efforts at the aim and efforts of my mission here, I know we are in a very difficult situation here, but what we do is we really concentrate on the issues of human rights. We really concentrate on giving voice to the millions of voiceless Afghans, especially men and women. So if you look at my diplomats, young men and young women diplomats here, they pressed their points. They wanted to be the voice of those Afghans who doesn't have voice in Kabul and different cities, and to raise their voice, especially in the Human Rights Council, but also engage everyone in the diplomatic life. So I wanted to say that this now is the moment for the international community to act, and an act which commensurate with the gravity of the crisis. The Human Rights Council was created to address this very situation, and for the Council to maintain its credibility, it must step into its role and to meet impunity with action. The Council has the tool to establish a robust, independent mechanism to prevent and ensure accountability for serious human rights abuses, which continues to happen in Afghanistan, including the past. We are not hiding from the past acts. We urge the Council member, in line with the Council's mandate, to adopt a resolution in its current session, establish a dedicated mechanism, and answer the demands of millions of Afghans for a call for High Commissioner, Special Rapporteurs, and Afghanistan's Independent Human Rights Commission and the civil society. We have heard their calls loud and clear. So finally, the theme of today's side event is the international response to the human rights crisis in Afghanistan. So we ask our panelists, our audience, and everyone else who shares our view on how international community can best support the preservation of democracy, human rights, and essential elements of sustainable peace in Afghanistan. And on this, I thank you very much.